Welcome back, everybody. Today, before we get started, like and subscribe if you haven't already. We will talk about Patreon at the end of the episode and how you can see episodes early. Today we have a special guest, our co-host from the Talking About the Big Stuff podcast, Matthew Krevat, is here. He's also the 1/3 of the Brooklyn Brothers YouTube channel, Brooklyn Brothers Food Review. YouTube channel, which is probably the biggest deal of all the things that we work on so far.
Yeah.
Audience wise.
Right. Yeah. I was about to say watch viewing hours, likes.
Yeah. And so welcome, Matthew, to the Cine-Men podcast.
Yeah, it's great to be. It's been about 2 years since you guys were on Brooklyn Brothers. It's nice that you brought me on.
Yeah.
And we talk about movies a bunch on other projects, so it's nice to have you here to talk flicks with us.
Before we dive into the first section, I do want to say that when we started Cine-Men, my son said, "Is Matthew going to be upset that you're not including him?" And I'm like, "We're not excluding him. It's just that he doesn't need to. I don't need to ask him to do everything I do, otherwise he will have no other time on his hands." So I was like, we're not like, it's not like Matthew's not allowed. I said he'll probably come on when we do a movie that's of interest to him or whatever, but we don't need to like to include him in everything to And he was like, "Are you sure it's not going to hurt his feelings?"
He's such a sweet boy. I'm just the perfect in your pocket backup guest. We haven't had a guest in a while. Let's get Matthew. Haven't had to do that, but it's like such an easy thing because Matthew doesn't have a job. He can be free to record in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, Mike and I didn't. So,
and I still. My job is Chocolate Diamond Media. So.
Your job is Chocolate Diamond, and we are greatly appreciative because if all of us had regular full-time job audience, you wouldn't have content.
Right.
Not as regularly as you do now. How about that?
And I want to thank our newest patron. Speaking of me having this just
welcome.
A job, Jason, who was our guest last week, became a patron because someone that is guesting this week may have guilt tripped him into becoming. And if you want to be guilt tripped into it, you can go to the Patreon link below.
That is not what happened. He enjoyed being a guest on one of the best cinematic podcasts on all platforms that he had to become a paying member of the community.
Yeah, I wouldn't say guilty, man. I planted the seed. I planted a seed, and then there's amazing experience with you gentlemen.
There it is. I like that. Yep.
We'll see. I just posted on Patreon his episode for the early view of it, and if he doesn't like the edit, maybe he pulls back that. I don't know. We'll see. Mike cut out a lot of this episode.
Patron.
We had a 2.5 hour record, and Mike made it down to an hour 15.
Pre-production is our topic,
yes.
Right? Our theme, I should say, is unintentional hits. I don't think is quite the best way to say it.
Yeah.
But movies that maybe their early production days or their early writing days or the early times at the writer's table, or when this was all inside a writer's head, maybe they never intended it to be the thing it became, right? And this film, I had never seen it. I had heard, and obviously we've talked about this on multiple past episodes. I have seen pop culture references to this film hundreds of times and have no idea what they talk about. Right. Yeah. Because this is the kind of film I would not have been allowed to see as a kid, and therefore didn't grow up with a great want to see it as an adult and I'm glad I did. I mean, it wasn't a bad film, but it's a film. And our theme is going to be just all encompassing movies that, what was the exact phrase? It was,
I just think
a movie is a hits in an unintended way. There we go.
Yeah. Like even to your point about like pre-production and all that stuff, I do think it changed. We kind of talked about that before recording a little bit, either yesterday or the day before, about how, like, I think it was initially before they got all the cast and everything together,
this
a
movie's
different
gone
movie
through
altogether.
a lot of changes before it became what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that the final product,
and I like your angle on that. Like you were even talking about, Matthew, before you were coming on. You're like, oh yeah, like you had some tidbits, like historical tidbits about this film that I did not know going into it.
Yeah.
That it was meant to be something different. It was not meant to be a comedy. It was not meant to be. It had good science fiction bones. It was meant, all that kind of.
Yeah. I think, Alex, I also did not see this as a kid. I was not allowed to. I was forced to wait until it was made and released. A year after I was married. My wife and I saw it together in the theater.
So what you're saying is you're so old.
So old. I saw this first run in the theater.
So I think that this movie is, there's obviously what it was intended to be before, this cast and crew got a hold of it, then what they made. But I also think that why people like it isn't, like, I think they were intending to make this like a sci-fi Lethal Weapon, or where it's an action movie with comedy.
Well, 100% Lethal Weapon, because they brought in the producer of Lethal Weapon, and he brought in a rewrite and tried to turn it into the Lethal Weapon in the future. Like that was exactly the thing.
And Lethal Weapon's on the wall.
That was the homage to him. And, so it started as it's basically a cop take on Brave New World. And that's all my notes are about, how it relates to Brave New World, because it's all over the place. Yeah. And that's what gives it, as Alex said, the bones that make it better than just a beat 'em up movie that it could have been.
Yeah.
And I think that, Lethal Weapon, I think you could make the comparison to Die Hard, where they were trying to make a genuine action movie that was funny. And what they made was a comedy that had action. Like this is camp.
So,
this is the reason we like this is not because we're like, that was, that fight scene was amazing. Like even when he's got the martial arts built in, the Wesley Snipes, and he's doing it, it's goofy. Like that scene where he's beating up the cops at the beginning, where after they're like, speak assertively to the
it's cartoon.
They're holding the thing.
The way he does it,
announce again. Or else.
Of course, there's a behind the scenes thing where they say,
"Maniac, please." I love that, where they're like, "Approach the maniac, maniac."
Tell the maniac to lay on the floor. Yeah, but there's a thing also where they say that Wesley Snipes' martial arts were so fast that they told him, "Stop doing full speed. We can't film that." Okay. So he was part of the reason it's goofy is because he was forced to slow down his fighting because he's actually a black belt. Yeah.
And the balance comes off.
No one else was a fighter, so they had to slow him down, which I think makes him look even more lethal because it looks like no effort in kicking everybody's ass.
Yeah, that's true. It seems like less deliberate and just casual. Yeah. No, good call. I like when I see films, especially from this era, and I see action films from this era, they all look a bit campy, and my feeling on this was this is just a bunch of really good actors, and none of them are doing their best job. Like none of them.
Yeah, well, a lot of them
really good. Not a bunch of really good actors. There's Sylvester Stallone and Sandra Bullock.
But it's like it's Sandra Bullock's first. It's like Sandra Bullock's first or second movie, though. Like it's like her first or second movie.
Yeah, her first movie was Bionic Woman.
Yeah, I mean it's Benjamin Bratt's first movie probably or second movie.
Oh,
it's everybody's early in their careers, so they're not even good yet. The ultimate is Dennis Leary sucks in this movie.
Oh, Dennis Leary's so bad,
and he gets to be such a good actor 20 years later in his career.
So we've been watching Modern Family as a family, and Logan loves it. And we're watching Demolition Man the other night, and Benjamin Bratt comes on, and I said, "Do you know who that is?" And he goes, "I'm like, it's Manny's dad." And he's like, "Oh my God." And that was probably he knows. I'm sure he knows Sylvester Stallone because we've seen a bit of Rocky and stuff. So, but it was. But it is. Yeah, I would have a hard time arguing that this is a bunch of good actors. I mean, Rob Schneider.
Okay, let me rephrase. When I say good actors, I should have said known actors.
Sure, yeah.
But
that's what I meant to say. When I said good, I didn't mean like they're good at their jobs.
And I will say none of these are like B movie, like their height.
You're
height
right. Yeah.
None of them hit the B movie level where, I mean, in the main characters.
Besides Rob Schneider.
Rob Schneider barely is. Like
Ventura.
I mean, he's a comic relief in a comedy. Like, how low is that for acting requirements?
Yeah. Oh, good point. He's a heel in a comedy. So I thought the moment I saw Benjamin Bratt and Sandra Bullock, I was like, oh, it's Miss Congeniality. Like I just kept thinking of that every time. And I paused it and looked over at my wife. I was like, look, she goes, it's Benjamin Bratt. Demolition Man is a movie about Stallone waking up from his long sleep, right? His cryo sleep.
Well, let's dive in a little more, like a little more depth to it. Okay, so because while there is a huge cult audience for this, there's also a huge portion of the population that knows almost nothing about this movie except for maybe the three seashells. So Stallone is a cop in LA. It's 1996, and this was filmed in 93? I think it came out.
It was released in 93.
93. So this is right on the heels of the LA riots, and so LA is like a complete, burnout zone, like essentially in the movie.
They kind of talk to, and at one point Stallone has a line when they say, "What do you think of the future?" He's like, "I didn't think we'd have a future. I thought the way we were going."
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And that was definitely the feeling of the 90s. We're going to be a dystopian hellhole like they show in 96.
Yeah.
And so he's chasing down Wesley Snipes, who is was he a drug dealer, or I forget he was just like he was literally just a criminal for the sake of criminal.
He had some murder, death, kill on his record.
I saw the
he was kind of like almost like a little warlord criminal. Like he was in that area. Nobody goes near the area that he's cordoned off.
Yeah, yeah.
So in catching him, they a bunch of people are killed. Hostages are killed.
No, that's not what happens. Now, see, that's one of the things that people underestimate in this movie, because you have to pay attention to every line that's spoken. Later on, first of all, he does a thermal scan, and there's only 8 people in the building.
Yeah.
He keeps saying, "Where are the hostages?" He keeps laughing at it, making jokes about it.
Because they were already dead.
This is where Phoenix was brilliant. They were already dead.
Yeah.
In the far future, he says he killed the hostages. It was all a trap to get John Spartan, because he was already known as the Demolition Man because he blew up a mall to save someone.
Oh, yeah.
The little girl. So he purposely filled a building with explosives and dead bodies and blew up the building so it would look like Stallone blew up another building and killed recklessly and killed all the people. The entire thing was the exact plan that Phoenix had. Phoenix like, I'm going to take down this cop by setting him up to make it. And it's hard. You have to piece that together because none of it happens in one thing. But like all the gasoline that's there, and he's puncturing all the gasoline. And if you look, there are guns, like machine guns, at all the windows at one point, but no one's manning them. He's a skeleton crew because his plan is to blow up the building. Like that's the plan from the beginning. Yeah, and make it look like Stallone murdered all these people, and that's why Stallone goes to jail for decades, because it looks like he killed 30 people.
Right. So they both get cryo frozen. It's cryo prison, and what do they call them? There's some term that they give them, like cryo inmate or something, and so they get frozen, and they actually
the idea is you're supposed to be having like your brain is active and you're having behavioral modification.
Oh, that's right. His wasn't.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why there's a time that you're in for. Otherwise, why would 1 year or 100 years be different if you're frozen? And it's supposed to be how much time it will take for you to be rehabilitated in your sleep.
Right. And Simon Phoenix, played by Wesley Snipes, gets thought out first. And
for a parole hearing, it's like
parole a parole hearing. Yeah,
he's not meant to be released.
He gets for a parole hearing, but because of that, that stuff that's been built into his brain, he knows how to escape.
And he says Mike's favorite line in the entire movie.
Do you have anything to say for yourself? Teddy bear. And when he says teddy bear, that's the secret, and like the metal handcuffs disable.
Open up, and it's like, how did you know the code to the handcuffs?
And he says, "I wish I knew." Like he doesn't know that's programmed in his head; he just knows it.
And so then they thaw out. They eventually the cops decide to thaw out Sylvester Stallone to he takes a maniac to catch a maniac.
Yeah, so that's one of the two foreshadowing lines in the opening sequence. There's another one, but that's one of them. Takes a maniac to catch a maniac. So that's foreshadowed the plot of the movie.
Yeah, and Logan caught it because this was Logan's second time. He was like, "Oh, that's foreshadowing. Oh, that's foreshadowing."
Yeah, there's another line that Phoenix says that we'll talk about. I'll bring it up later, but it foreshadows the last fight of the movie.
Right. So they wake up in this. They're woken up in this utopia of San Angeles, which is Santa Barbara, Los Angeles, and San Diego, all having been melded into one big city.
After the great earthquake of 2010.
Yes. Yeah, after the great earthquake. And it really seems like in the museum that they all go to, it almost seems like this was built on top of the rubble that was the previous world, which
and we see more of that too.
Which calls back to The Matrix and the way that film is also like in The Matrix, where all of
to The Matrix.
Thank you. All of the prisoners, I guess you could say, in The Matrix are like on a farm, and that's under everything, and they're the ones powering the rest of the world. Whereas here, I talked about these guys. I was like, so is it a little like Idiocracy? And they're like, there's a bit of that,
like a vague bit of that, but
but there's also, I think, one of the set design things I love in that is that there's no skyscrapers anywhere. It's after a huge earthquake 20 years ago, and they did not rebuild skyscrapers.
Everything's really flat. Yeah,
short buildings.
So in this utopia, and you're like, quickly we find out fairly quickly that the whole reason why Wesley Snipes' Simon Phoenix was thought out is to kill a guy who is keeping this utopia from being the true utopia that the creator of the city wants it to be, which is Denis Leary, and he lives in that.
He's a
Alex,
scrap.
You said The Matrix. I thought Futurama the whole time, where it's New York and then New York is under it. This felt like that, where LA is under it and San Angeles is above it. So there's these, it's the Morlocks and the
Eloy.
What is it, Eloy?
Yeah,
Eloy.
It's that kind of societal difference, and Wesley Snipes is brought in to clean out.
But the more direct comparison is, because it's the comparison of the entire movie, is Brave New World. Like Brave New World, you have your utopian society, but then people come. But outside of the city, there is the old society. People living like barbarian savages. Living outside the city.
Well,
the direct comparison.
Barbarians.
Right.
I mean, I believe that. I almost believe that Jack Black is down there. I almost believe that the scraps are. I know this is almost how the writing wants us to see it as the audience, but the scraps are the true liberated people, and then everybody in San Angeles is just these like hopeless near automatons that feel like they have free will, but Cochran's making sure that they don't really have free will.
Right, which is the plot of Brave New World too. That the savages are the ones living by freedom and independence, and the people it's not a utopia. You realize halfway through it's a dystopia, not a utopia. But in this case,
I mean, let's be real.
People gave up their rights and freedoms for things being nice.
Exactly. So if I can't curse, make physical contact, and I have sex with Sandra Bullock by putting a weird helmet on, I don't want that future either.
It is interesting too, because this movie, and I think I didn't notice until this viewing, but it has an interesting political bend to it, in the fact that the LA riots are clearly the kickoff to what we see at the beginning, and then you have this utopian society where it is libertarians, like Denis Leary is the libertarian, right? Who's like, I want to be able to eat, cheeseburgers.
Eat down the street because I might suddenly feel like it.
Yeah. I want to walk across the thing naked and get a Playboy and blah, blah, and then you've got this
we can have told him rant. Like there was no script for it. That was him ranting.
And then you have the utopian people who are like, we want everyone to be healthy and safe. And like you said, like, and I don't know, this is like what I would say is like the stuff that makes sense about libertarianism versus, like this. So like when I say it has a political bend, it's not something that you can really apply to today's political landscape. It's just more that like by 1993 standards of like, do we want to live in a place where you can't get
a
36-ounce sodas? Like, what was it that was it Bloomberg that like stopped the
giant sodas,
right? And so you have these things, and at this point in time, 1993,
weird where you and I used to work that were complaining about very large sodas.
Yeah, in 1993, Matthew, you'll have to correct me on this because I don't remember very well, but like that's probably when we were starting to see smoking get cut down in public places.
Oh yeah,
and
that's it was later than that.
Early 90s.
It was probably later than that when it went.
Because I remember walking with my kids through the smoking section of restaurants, and my youngest.
Right. I did too.
Right, but there were probably areas in Los Angeles.
There was still smoking sections of the restaurants when my son was a toddler, so it wasn't fully the way it is now, where there's no smoking indoors.
Right, but they probably knew it was coming. There's probably some signs of it, like those things don't happen overnight. They take a while, and LA is probably one of the first places where those things happen, and so you have that vibe of like, oh, things might be going, like, and I don't think that the freedom to smoke in a restaurant is a freedom we deserve. I don't, I'm not on the Dennis Leary side of that, but I do think there's that, like, there is something to both sides on that, but it is an interesting political, thing given the time that it was coming from.
It is interesting that you say that, because who is also a scrapper down with Dennis Leary, who is very much a political figure.
I'm assuming
Jesse Ventura.
I thought Jesse Ventura was thought out.
He's not a scrap. He's one of the villains that's thought out at the end.
Yeah.
He got thought out. I thought he was down as a scrapper with all of that.
No.
He was when Wesley Snipes says, "I need a crew of tough thing." Like
okay.
Jeffrey Dahmer. I love that guy.
Yeah, and supposedly
that was funny. Jeffrey Dahmer. Yeah.
And supposedly, Ventura had lines that just never were cut. Like he had scenes that made it worth having Jesse Ventura. I mean, he's the one who kills the bad guy.
Yeah.
So he has a big moment, but he had no lines except for like when everybody else is yelling. So because
I like the Jesse Ventura was in this just because we were talking about being a libertarian, which Jesse Ventura, his political views are like old Trump, where he was just an angry libertarian racist, rather than now where he is this psycho, super conservative.
He wasn't a libertarian, Ventura, when he was elected. He was under the Americans United.
Oh, socialist. Yeah, that's right.
No, it was Ross Perot's party. When Ross Perot ran president, he started the United Party, and he was that, which was similar to libertarian in some ways, but it wasn't a soft.
That's what I thought. Yeah,
it was kind of a soft conservative, but also had liberal social values. So it was a very unique kind of party.
I was going to say, Jesse Ventura is one of those guys where it's like when he's categorized, you're like, I don't want that. But every time I've ever heard him talk, I'm like, yeah, he's very reasonable. Like, I mean, I don't necessarily agree with his like economics and stuff, but like I've heard him talk in the last couple of years. I'm like, oh yeah, like
he's the brain.
He's pretty
Jesse's
down.
Brain.
Yeah, he went from being the body to the mind.
The mind. Yeah. Bobby was the brain. He was the mind.
Yeah. So he. So yeah, I one of the things that I think, Matthew, you had mentioned before watching this that was great this time that I hadn't really paid attention to, and Logan and Sarah looked so grossed out, was when they're down there and Stallone wants a burger and a beer and
carne de rata,
and when Sandra Bullock is like, "Do you see any cows around here?"
I love that.
And he goes, What is the meat? And she's like, carne de rata. And he goes, this is rat?
Is it a rat burger?
It's pretty good.
A rat burger?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
This is the best burger I've had in years. This is a great burger.
Yeah, I loved that part. That was so good. And I think that is what, like, those kind of things are why, like, that is almost too goofy for it is his Demolition Man, for Lethal Weapon. Or for Die Hard, like those have like quippy funny, like oh, we're gonna have some laughs, we're gonna like quippy funny. This is not
as a guy who makes funny jokes while killing people, which Stallone does. But they even make fun of that in the movie. Like he does a quip when killing someone, and afterwards Sandra Bullock like, "Oh, John Spartan, I love when you said this," like that you made the comment because like Lethal Weapon because she's a fan of Lethal Weapon,
right? And well, yeah, and when you look at Lethal Weapon and you look at the action movies of that time that had a good amount of funny moments, Lethal Weapon, Bruce Willis, Die Hard, Die Hard, those movies. None of the comedy comes from the situation. It all comes verbally from
someone is a smartass and makes jokes. As they're
and so you don't have.
It's funny outside of it as a third person. It's not funny like.
Yeah, you don't have those three seashells.
There are jokes that are told in universe to the people next to you. Like this person's making a joke. It's not this situation is funny.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, it's Taco Bell. That's funny.
Right. Yeah. And that's where I think that this movie departs from what it was meant to be. Because I think it was meant to be that. And they were like, well, we can also throw in some of this. But I think the things that nobody that is like a big fan of this movie is like, oh, it was really awesome when he kicks his head off or he does that or does it. Everyone talks about Taco Bell, the three seashells.
You know who you sound like?
Who?
Gene Siskel. When Siskel and Ebert reviewed it, Siskel was thumbs down, Ebert was thumbs up. But what Siskel was like, the actions, I hate the action sequences. They're in the way. It's a fun movie. It has a little bit of a message, but it's very funny. And that part I liked, but I can't recommend it because the stupid action sequences get in the way of this good movie. Where Ebert was like, I like the action sequences. I agree with you. The better part is the non-action. Yeah. But I kind of like the action sequences. So that was like the difference. But that's
I don't mind them. I'm not saying I mind them.
It wasn't a great action movie because you could take the action out and I would prefer the movie more.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, to me, the action is just not the memorable part.
Yeah. Stallone's not a martial artist. Watching him fist fight someone is not, he's not entertaining.
It's not entertaining.
Snipes is entertaining, but he's not.
Yeah, I mean, like, when you think about him, the only time, I mean, fist fighting in Rocky, obviously, but, like, that's very different. But otherwise, you think about Rambo and, you know, and
pop
like,
up behind you and stab you, not fight. Yeah, or shoot you, depending on which Rambo. Depending which movie,
And so you just think about those kind of things, and he is,
and that was weird the goofiest shit ever. Just the opening sequence when he's like bungee jumping down with a handgun, shooting people from the sky and jumping into the air. So stupid. Hysterically funny. I love it.
Yeah, he's absolutely like he's kind of perfect for the movie, and luckily, you know,
he's bad. Because it looks jerky and bad and silly and over the top.
But also like
when he jumps to the side and is firing two-handed into the void, it's like, oh yeah, all of those hit.
But also,
you're
I think
that stormtrooper at that point.
Stallone does not take himself too seriously. I don't think. Like, I think that there's moments, and maybe as he gets older, he is. But like, I've seen plenty where he makes fun. You know, he went on SNL and he does a sketch with Norm. Did you ever see that sketch with Norm Macdonald, where Norm Macdonald is in a car accident and Stallone's pulling him out of the car or trying to save him from in the car accident, and he goes, "Why did you do what's the arm wrestling movie Over the Top?" And he's like, "Let me get you out of the car," and he goes, "You're gonna fight for custody in an arm wrestling?" And he's like, "It was a good idea at the time," and he goes, "It was never a good idea." And like, so Stallone has this level of not taking himself seriously that I think, you know, like he's like showing up. He's like, I'll do what I need to do for this movie. And, you know, he had some comedy flops. Like,
he was coming off 2 or 3 flops. Oscar was before this. Which was
What was the one with the mom? Stop My Mom Will Shoot.
That was right before this.
Great story about that. Have you guys heard that?
These are the things that he had 2 or 3 not great movies in a row. This was kind of, and then this, it's funny because this wasn't his big hit of the year. His big hit was Cliffhanger that came out afterwards. But because of I Am Who I Am, I saw this in the theater. I didn't see Cliffhanger until like a year later on HBO or whatever.
Yeah. But so he, you know, he has that ability. Whereas you know, Matthew, I think you mentioned the other day that one of the original pairings that they wanted to do for Simon Phoenix and John Spartan was
Jean-Claude Van Damme as Phoenix and Steven Seagal as
Oh,
smart.
I was about to say, if you say Steven Seagal, like, please,
no,
that would have been
was
so
Warner
much
Brothers'
worse.
biggest moneymaker at the time. Like that was right after Under Siege, which was like the biggest action adventure hit they had had. I mean, I know he sucks. I hate him. He sucks. But at the time, he was the Money in the Bank guy. But he couldn't tell a joke to save his life, so it would have been no humor in it.
Well, and he and I think that like if he had gotten, if he had been in that process and gotten whiff of like, oh, these are jokes, he would have screwed them up. But also like
almost intentionally because he takes himself too seriously.
Yeah. And if this movie had taken itself seriously and it had been like, very,
it would have been so much worse.
It would have undercut the entire thing that ends up working, right? So like, I mean, the alternate universe where the alternate universe where those two star in this movie would just be, that would be one of those like absolute dog shit movies, whereas this is like not a great movie, but it's an awesome movie.
It would have been hard to do the dystopian as funny, like because the whole PC language being the law came off as humor in this completely. Mm-hmm. You can look at it and say, "Oh, this is the commentary," but it was humor with Steven Seagal. There's no way to play it for humor,
right? Yeah, there isn't. You're right. Yeah.
If you just would have been like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. You might get some accidental humor out of Steven Seagal. And I think
he'd be funny, but not for the ways he wants to be funny.
And I think that while this movie wasn't intended to be a comedy, the moments that are funny were intended to be funny, obviously. The three seashells.
I think it was intended to be comedy.
It was intended to be an action comedy.
Action adventure comedy, like it would, which is the priority, I guess.
Right. Yeah. I think, you think in 70-30, and I think that the 70 lands on the other side of that for me.
I mean, because the sex scene is out of Woody Allen's Sleeper. They just basically took the scene from Sleeper and put it in this movie. So, I mean, there was this pure classic comedy
fluid transfer.
I texted, I don't remember if I texted both of you or not, but I texted Dirt while I was watching it. I probably only texted Matthew because I didn't know if you had watched it yet, Alex, but I was like, is this because of COVID that they do and they don't want the fluid transfer? Because this is 2032. So like, we're only 6 years out from this movie, but actually.
Yeah. And like shaking hands was even not like touching. It was kind of holding your hand up and wiggling your fingers.
Because they do no physical contact. It was because it was to set you up for the sex joke later. I mean, like there, I think it was really a setup. Oh, we don't do physical contact for greetings. Because then when she says we want to have sex, and you're like, oh, they're gonna have sex, and no, they're not. They don't do physical contact. Like she kind of set that was. There's a lot of setups in the movie that then pay off later.
Yeah,
you beat all those people up, made me. I was like,
there's a correlation between violence and sexuality.
Yeah, I've never heard a woman over-explain arousal to me in a way that just turns me off. But Sandra Bullock makes it easier.
Yeah, I mean, she's pretty. But she's really bad in this. Like, her acting is really bad in this movie.
It's cardboard.
My friend Pat, who you've both kind of met.
I think it's intentionally cardboard though, because everybody's
she wants it to be.
But only people who are natural in the police department, the only people who are natural are the two old cops.
Yeah.
Well, not the cop.
True.
Yeah.
His friend who was the pilot is normal. And then there's the old gruff cop who he shakes hands with, who's like, what the hell? Like, those guys have normal kind of personalities. Everybody else, I mean, Benjamin Bratt and Rob Schneider, they all are just like computerized talking. And just to say it, because I know that Mikey, will watch this episode because I'm on it. The voice of the computer in the police station was Adrienne Barbeau. I don't know if that means anything to you guys very much, but she was a sex
I've watched that 70s show.
She was a sex symbol through the 70s and Mike's biggest crush.
Yeah. So for this section, Matthew, we talk about what the movie got right and what the movie could have done better. And we kind of covered a little bit of that just now, but like I think the movie, I think the fact that it does not try to take itself too seriously allowed it to become the success in the way that it did. Because it doesn't just like, let's make John Spartan look cool, funny the whole time. Instead, it's like, there was no toilet paper, so I'm going to go swear so that I have toilet paper. Like, those are things that aren't like that same level of like, John McClane cool. Like, you can't really picture John McClane being like talking about toilet paper or, I'm forgetting the characters from Lethal Weapon, Murtaugh and Riggs. There is a level of like John Spartan is in some ways he's cool, and in some ways he is that fish out of water, and they play with that, and those things wouldn't work as well if you did try to take it too seriously, and you were like, let's just make the comedy about this, Taco Bell. And
interesting thing about that, the toilet paper scene, and this movie in general from that. Have you ever heard Schwarzenegger swear in another movie?
You mean Stallone?
Like he never occurs. Stallone. Like Stallone is not known for profanity in his movies. Like he's not profane, and he curses more in this movie than in anything all the other movies put together, probably.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think about that. But they really make it work in this movie, the profanity, and they layer it so that even when they're like in the museum and it's Stallone and Wesley Snipes and they're like shooting at each other from across the room, hiding behind the old cars and stuff, and they're like, "You fucking," and then it's like one, in the very background you can hear one credit for Simon Phoenix.
So I also think in the same balance, if you used too overtly comedy or comedic actors, it would be even worse.
Agreed.
So, for example,
I don't think this would work.
No, I totally agree. So, if you got an intentionally comedy actor and you put Steve Carell as a cop, or you put any other
I think you could do it with one comedic actor. Like comedic actor, like Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan kind of thing. Like you can have a comedian and an action hero together and balance it. Sure. But if you put two in, if you just made it, let's go full comedy. If it was a Mel Brooks movie, it would not have worked.
I think you're right. Yeah. And I think that the comedian would almost have to be the Simon Phoenix character. Because
absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, other than like Rob Riggle, I'm struggling to think of who is so, like,
well, Jackie Chan.
Who could be? Well, yeah, but Jackie Chan's not funny.
No, he is. Oh, if you
Patrick Warburton,
in all of his Chinese movies, especially, he's always a comical character.
Okay,
yeah.
I mean, comedy and action are one genre in Chinese films. For a lot of it.
Fair.
Okay.
All very funny. Like that's part of the. I mean, a lot of American movies too, like we're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, the action comedy genre is being satired in this movie. Like while it is
very true,
it's a satire of action comedies as well.
Yeah, I'm curious. I got to look it up right now while we're talking about it. But Last Action Hero must have come out around the same time, and it's like I
would imagine it was later, but let's see.
I
feel like that was a
93. Same year.
Time.
Okay.
And which is interesting for a couple of reasons, because this was like right after both Stallone and Schwarzenegger were like coming off their hot runs. And you're right that like Stallone had just had a couple of big...
He tried to do comedies and they didn't work.
Right. And so like both of them kind of were like, oh, let's do this like this very different style action movie. Alex, have you seen Last Action Hero? Are you familiar with it?
Nope.
Okay. Last Action Hero it's Schwarzenegger and a little kid. He's probably like 12.
Also a science fiction comedy action movie.
Yeah, he's like 12 or 13.
Okay, you have my attention.
He's given a magic ticket that allows him to go into a movie, and his favorite movies are, I don't remember the name of the character, but it's a Schwarzenegger playing a character. So Schwarzenegger exists in Last Action Hero as Schwarzenegger, and then he exists in the movie as whatever the other character's name is, Jack Slater. And so he goes into the movie. What a
name! What an action name!
Well, John Spartan, Jack Slater.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And is
there a part of this format where there's a time to talk about the names and why they're named what they are? Where does that go?
We can do that, but let me just.
I know. I have a whole scene on that.
So he goes into the movie and then has a hard time getting out, and he's this little kid's paired with Jack Slater, and he's like, "You're not a real detective. You're a character played by Arnold Schwarzenegger," and they're trying to get. and it's this very meta, weird movie
Yeah, I was
by
about to
the
say that's
writer
totally like past third wall kind of shit. Yeah.
by Shane Black, who wrote the Lethal Weapon movies, directed by John McTiernan, who I think directed the first Die Hard. And so it's this interesting, and they both come out the same year. And the thing that I think is funny is that, like, in Last Action Hero, when they're in the movie, they go to a Blockbuster and there is a picture of Stallone as the Terminator. Because Arnold doesn't exist in the movie.
Right, okay.
He's Jack Slater. And in this movie, Stallone talks about, or it's mentioned that they're going to go to the Schwarzenegger Memorial Library.
Okay.
Wow. And so like they're both referencing each other, and they both make this movie, which is like, this is... and they also, both these movies become cult classics.
Because Twins was the same thing. Twins, he walks by a Rambo poster, Schwarzenegger was the Rambo poster, and he goes, ha, and he just laughs at his biceps as he walks by.
There's like that playfulness, and I was going to say that when we talked about Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, that apparently Stallone says that Arnold, anytime they would talk, he's like, I've been trying to get into this movie.
Arnold tricked him into taking that movie.
And he's like, there's this movie that I'm really excited about. And so Stallone went and nabbed the part, and it bombed. And Arnold was like, yeah, that was a terrible script.
He went on talk shows saying, I fooled him into taking this movie.
And so it's like this weird competitive friendship. But like in doing that, they both made these movies that kind of didn't do very well and then became cult classics with very interesting, weird premises. Premises?
Oh.
All right. So tell us about names, Matthew.
Okay. Well, so it falls into my main thesis that this is just Brave New World. Technically. Which at one point when they...
You're making me want to read Brave New World really badly.
When they fall through, like somewhere they were during the firefight where it's binging curses in the background. Snipes says, "Welcome to the Brave New World" when they go through. So it's a direct reference.
And Sandra Bullock's Leonela Huxley or whatever.
Yeah. So the first thing, Bullock's name is Huxley, which is the author of Brave New World, and that's her name.
Okay.
Right there. The premise of Brave New World is, of course, there's a dystopian future but it looks good when you're looking at it from their eyes. Everyone's happy, but then a guy named John the Savage, they call him, comes from the other world to come, the outside world to come in. John Spartan, John the Savage.
Yeah, like Lenina Crown, Lenina Huxley. Yep.
Yeah, they name directly. He's John the Savage directly. And then you have in Brave New World. All babies are test tube babies are all lab grown, and they're grown to be the job they're going to have. They come out of the test tube to be an alpha, a beta, a gamma, or delta, and they're if you're a low level person, you're not smart. They don't give you intelligence, and you do menial labor. The alphas live a life of luxury. They're the rich people. And so the same way that when Stallone and Snipes are in their unconscious state in the ice, they're getting trained to what their jobs. Like Stallone says, I'm a seamstress. Like he gets trained to be a seamstress.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Hey, I made this for you.
Yeah, he's assigned a job while he's conscious. And she says, like, all babies are done in a lab. You have to be approved by the government to have a baby. And it's done we go to a lab and get just like Brave New World. The cops are dressed like, even though the cops don't have any violence because it's so sweet and nice, they're dressed like fascist stormtroopers. Like
they are straight. Yes,
cops, they really any other movie, they're fascists, right?
Yeah.
And then the most famous thing for Brave New World, of course, is always there's also a bit of 1984 in it. So 1984 is famous for the Newspeak, where they use control language, controls your thoughts. You can't think thoughts because you don't have the words to think them. The idea in 1984 is you can never have a rebellion. The word rebellion doesn't exist anymore. You have no way to formulate that thought because the word doesn't exist. And what do we see with the creative arts in San Angeles? They sing 1970s and 80s commercial jingles. There's no more
shit, yes.
Because we don't want you to have creativity and want things and have passion and have love songs, or we only want you to sing jingles.
Yeah, and the jingles aren't like, because in some of these dystopian future films, a lot of the entertainment, it becomes a topic because everybody doesn't like it, but that's all you have kind of thing. So they regrettably like it.
This they
Sandra
love it.
Bullock's character and Benjamin Bratt's character wanted to listen to those jingles. Like they had an affinity for them. They wanted to
Oh, it's our
sing
favorite
the
one.
Oscar
Armour Hot
Mayer
Dog's
hot
my
dog.
favorite one. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Benjamin Bratt's character is way more in and of the world.
Yeah.
He's
a 1980s movie fan, so she's a little weird. Which again is
even though she wants an interesting case, and she's the outlier in a lot of ways.
Which is a Brave New World thing too. In Brave New World, there's a character who you think is going to be the protagonist when it starts, is Bernard, who a mistake was made when he was being cloned, when he was and so he comes out not quite as smart as he should be and not having the personality he's supposed to have. And that's kind of her. She's a round peg in this square hole. Yeah. And you can jam the round peg in, but she doesn't quite fit comfortably.
We already talked about the sex scene.
Yeah.
I really think that this is not a smart movie that is so high concept it's pretending to be stupid. This is a well-written film that's skewing towards dumb, that just keeps bumping into smart ideas along the way. Like there's flashes of genius, but it's not enough.
Script that was written by someone whose tape deck was broken in his car. I think a tape was stuck in the car and only Demolition Man by the Police would play. And he came up with the concept of this movie and wrote this dystopian 1984 future movie. And then the studio said, oh, it's going to be a karate movie. We're bringing it. Like they took his script and then that wasn't working out. They brought in, what's his name? The producer of the Lethal Weapon and all those other things. But they brought him in and became the producer of the movie, and he brought in rewriters and made it this comedy action movie that we're watching. But the original bones of the script were a good dystopian future satire.
Exactly. It feels like there's those moments.
Things that leak through that they didn't squish out while making the comedy is a good solid movie, which is why I think this movie is the one we're talking about 40 years later. Because
Joel Silver,
yeah. Joel Silver tried to make it into Lethal Weapon, but since it was a good movie before he got his hand, it was a film before he turned it into a movie.
I was it was much more of a work that's going to stick.
That's why it works, I think, on the greater level. And it has so many future things that are right, so many predictions. The Zoom meeting when the board is all there zooming in. I love that.
Yeah, and Sarah even mentioned the also, I liked the fact that he's on the Zoom call when Stallone gets there, and then you see the gun up to his head because he's in the other room, and it's that's something we do too. Where we're like, Sarah will FaceTime me from downstairs and be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm working," or vice versa.
Well, even in the office, there were people who would Zoom in from their office, even though there's a meeting room that 20
feet away.
Still go in from their office.
And Sarah said when we were watching, she goes, "Oh, the cars kind of look like Teslas. Like they look like." And sometimes it's hard to tell because sometimes technology replicates sci-fi. Like I think that
these cars, one of them, the one they drove, the only one that really worked as the real car, was a GM concept car from the year before. It was a concept car from GM for the future.
I was gonna ask because this is the stuff that I'm interested in.
They made shells that look like it for all the other cars. All the other cars had a shell on it. But one of them was the one they keep seeing them go. They actually see the inside of all the.
So the hero car was that
real concept car from GM. That, was like here's the car of the future that GM had actually built prior.
Well, and there's so many symbols in this that it's like that satire trying to push through. Like Oldsmobile, a now defunct brand, obviously was a much bigger deal when this film was made.
Yeah,
and even the logo. The Oldsmobile logo that's at the dealership is a little retro futuristic. I mean, the Oldsmobile logo has always been a little iconic, but the way it was used was just so
their slogan
fast enough.
Or was exactly at the time, but it's probably in the works, like we say, was not your father's Oldsmobile. Like they were rebranding as a young person's car, not your dad's car. So it didn't even make sense to do that. And I need to ask you guys a question about what your favorite restaurant in the world of Demolition Man is. What is your favorite restaurant in the world of Demolition Man?
Taco Bell.
Taco Bell. Which this episode is brought to you by Taco Bell.
I watched a version that was an illegal stream that was put on YouTube.
So you watched the international where it's Pizza Hut.
It's Pizza Hut in the International because nobody in Europe knows what Taco Bell is.
Yeah.
Well,
And
back
so
then.
when I sent you guys the picture when we talked about me coming on to talk about the show. When I was in Barcelona a couple of years ago, there was
Pronounce it right.
Barcelona.
Pronounce it right. Barcelona.
In Barcelona. When I was in Barcelona, there was a Taco Bell that was just like in a really nice old building. And it looked like the idea of this, like every restaurant's Taco Bell. And I took a picture of it just because of that joke. And then I'm watching this version of like, they wouldn't even get that joke in Barcelona because it was Pizza Hut in that version.
Yeah.
And so I Googled it. It's like, what the hell? Why is it Pizza Hut? I can't be wrong about this. And I found, people, it's a Mandela effect, blah, 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 blah. And then I found a thing saying, a Scopes article saying the international version at the time was Pizza.
Yeah.
And there's one scene actually in the version I watched because I rewatched it with Madhavi the other night. And they changed the logos almost everywhere, but there's one scene where
there's one scene where they forgot to
on the windows, and there's still Taco Bell on the windows.
Oh.
But Taco Bell Pizza were the same company, the Taco Bell Pizza, KFC.
They're all Yum brands.
Yeah. Yep. So it was okay that they were all Pepsi back in the day. Actually,
yeah,
they were owned by Pepsi.
Oh, sorry, yeah, it's right, Pepsi. Yeah.
So, I am hoping, because I don't know if you remember 10 years ago when we hit the time from Back to the Future 2, Nike or Reebok came out with the sneaker.
It was Air Jordan, so it was
Air Jordan. You're right. So it was Nike. I'm sorry that my dogs are going crazy. So I'm hoping in 6 years, because it's by the time this episode airs, it'll be less than 6 years till the date of this movie, August 3rd, 2032, and this episode's coming out on August 11th. Of 2026. I'm hoping that Taco Bell does some kind of Demolition
cross
Man
promotion.
thing.
Yeah,
cross promotion. Like, I really hope. This movie obviously is not as big as Back to the Future, so like maybe not. But Taco Bell also is not as renowned as Nike.
But they do tongue-in-cheek advertising Taco Bell too, so it would fit right in.
Oh, they're totally. Yeah, they lean into that.
Legally can do it. It would be perfect.
Yeah.
If they just said, it's 2032. All restaurants are Taco Bell. They could do that without permission. Like, you can't even sue them on that. You know,
they could do that, and they can have like a really nice, like where they take like the drizzle and they plate the food really.
Was like a nouveau cuisine looking.
If we don't, Alex, we should pitch that to Taco Bell.
That was one of my favorite Stallone lines. A fast one that goes by when they bring the little nouveau cuisine of little bits of food. He goes, "Good thing I'm hungry."
Good thing I'm hungry. Yep.
They get so much food.
Yeah. I also liked the cannoli line that you've been mentioning.
That's my favorite line in the entire.
I look like a cannoli. It was safety foam. It saved your life.
Yeah.
Like one second I'm in a car, next second it's a cannoli.
Real quick, we have nothing to improve, right?
I mean, it would be a different movie.
Yeah, agreed. Okay,
they could have had someone funnier than Rob Schneider to deliver his lines because they all sound like they were dubbed in. He's just so shitty, but
yeah.
I think most of the people that complain about things about this movie didn't pay close enough attention.
Okay,
well, also,
I don't think
some of it is subtle and only said once, like not as a negative.
Yeah,
but there's answers to most of the things. Like I was saying before about how the whole beginning was a perfectly planned setup. People complain, why was there gasoline all over the place, and why the cops think he did it? Why did he get arrested for this? It's crazy. But when you piece together everything throughout the movie, you realize it was a perfectly executed plan that made sense that it happened. That may not have been paced perfectly in the movie to tell you the way they did that, but it was all there.
So that's my hot take. It really feels like, and the more of the lore of this film that Matthews talked about. So there are so many scenarios where the more that Matthews talked about all the different changes this film went through, it makes it worse for me. And more of like these things that could have been better. It's just so obvious why they went down the way they did. So the cheesy lines, I expect those to be there. But Wesley Snipes having to slow down his very well performed martial arts, Oh, that's why it looks a little herky jerky.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many
Got another one on
instances
that.
where, huh?
I've got another tidbit about that.
Is it
He
like there's
doing all his own stunts, and
Mhm.
then they weren't happy with it, so the stunt team would come back at night and refilm the things from different angles with the stunt team, because he wouldn't let them use stunt team when he knew about it.
Oh God, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So there's so many scenarios where it could have been great, but its era, its budget, and its cast just kept like scraping at greatness and just never quite getting there. So we've watched films, and I'm starting to notice this now. We've watched especially more modern films. When we did the Oscars episode, it's, oh, you can tell they wanted their award. They went high art on purpose, or they went high build actors on purpose. This just tried to do all the things for its era, and it didn't do any of them brilliantly. But just like Matthew mentioned, it being that busted and disjointed is what makes it a movie we're still talking about, rather than one of those campy kind of meh films that just kind of went into obscurity and only a very dedicated fan base quotes it, loves it, knows it. Whereas we've still got people that are much younger than the two of us wanting to see something this goofy because it really is that off.
I think because the good stuff is so minimal, that it slips past you. Like I know we kept saying the bones, but like the bones with that, it's like it's better than you think it should be, but you don't notice why. Like you don't realize why it works.
My hot take that I was about to say is that I think this movie is not great, but it is good. And I don't mean that in like that like ironic way that like people like Showgirls has gotten, or Rocky Horror Picture Show, where it's like this is fun to sing along or to to kind of make fun of, or The Room. I think this movie is genuinely like good at what it is, even if it wasn't good at what it was supposed to be.
It was a hit when it came out. Like it wasn't his biggest cliffhanger that came out afterwards for Stallone, but it was a successful movie compared to his last three movies that sucked before it.
And they needed one.
Sandra Bullock got Speed off of this. Like she was cast in Speed right after this.
Oh, fair call.
So it actually, was.
And that's a serious action movie, not a goofy action movie. Okay. All right.
So, I mean, like, it was not like the world's biggest blockbuster. Like, say, Cliffhanger was bigger that year.
Right.
But it was a successful movie. Like, we all went, me and my friends all went to see it. I mean, and I was an adult. I was married. I wasn't like an 18-year-old going to see everything. It was a good movie.
Do we recommend the movie?
Start with the guest. Do we recommend?
Oh, I always recommend this movie.
Me too.
I'm going to choose not to, but it's not because it's bad. It's because there's so many other things I would before this. If this is the style you want.
He chose not to, because even though this movie we've been telling him about it for, almost a year, he's editing this episode, so he knows that we can't cut his shitty opinion out.
No, it's not my bag. It just isn't my bag, the same way that like Doctor Who isn't my thing.
A book here that says Demolition Man by Alex. This is my bag, baby.
Yeah.
Comma, baby. Yeah.
All right. So now, okay, fun and watchability. We'll start with Matthew on a scale of 1 to 10.
I mean, this is an 8 for fun and watchability for me. I mean, I think this is a super fun movie.
I do too. I might actually even go a little higher and say a 9, because I could watch this movie over and over. This movie is probably.
I would want a little better martial arts, or make it a 9 for me if the fight scenes were actually better. But I mean, they're not bad. They're an 8.
Right. This movie, just to be clear, and I'm looking back at everything we've put on that we've watched in the last almost year. I've seen this movie more than any other movie we've watched.
Oh wow!
This movie's
46 episodes worth.
Yeah, if you take out Star Wars and Back to the Future, this is in my top 5 most seen movies ever, probably.
Oh wow! Okay.
So,
And there's only one nude scene.
and it's
Which is,
Stallone.
by the way, I should say this, especially if Mikey watches it, an homage to another dystopian future movie, Logan's Run.
Yeah.
In the movie Logan's Run, there's a thing where you put yourself on the teleport network and pop into some a naked woman pops in, to be ready to have sex with him.
Yeah.
And that's like this when he gets the sexting call by accident.
Wasn't Farrah Fawcett naked in that movie too?
I don't think she was naked. She was in it. She was the nurse in the plastic surgery suite. But
I've seen it, but it's been a while. We watched it the year Logan was born. We were like, let's watch Logan's Run. Yeah. All right. So, Alex, what is your fun and watchability rating?
So, fun and watchability is a 7. It's fun. It's interesting. There's fun lines. This isn't to be a contrarian. I have rarely been shown a cult movie and gotten the cult vibe from it. Like, I want to see it and now think about it a lot. Demolition Man, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with it. It's fun. It's just.
I don't see a 7 as a contrarian opinion. I think if you come within plus or minus 1 of someone else, that's just personal taste off a similar. I agree on the quality, just not my taste. If you're 4 away from someone, that's a different opinion. Plus or minus 1, I think we're in the same boat on it.
Okay.
And then quality, Matthew.
Quality. It's hard for me to give it more than a 5. I mean, I think it's a 5 for quality. Again, it's weird because it lives in its own little world.
It does, yeah.
It has part of it wants to be a comedy, part of it wants to be a science fiction movie, part of it wants to be an action adventure, part of it.
And
wants
the more
to
of
be
the history I hear, the more I forgive that. Like I forgive it being lower quality. But
I think it succeeds because it has elements of each. But it's not the best science fiction. It's not the best dystopian. It's not the best action adventure. It's not the best in any of the categories.
No.
It's a 5, but middle of the road when you mix all the categories together for me.
So I gave it a 6, and I think
1 I'm okay with.
I think I would have given it a 5 until hearing all of your stuff about like the connections to Brave New World, because I haven't read Brave New World, and the writing is better in that way, and there is knowing that they had
There's
to slow down.
There's more depth to it than you think.
Yeah. And so to me, I think a 6 is good because it doesn't quite hit what it's going for. But it's not bad enough where I want to rank it too low either.
If we were trying to come to a consensus opinion, I'd be willing to move up to a 6. If that was when me and my brothers used to do hot sauce reviews, we wanted a review from the team, so we would negotiate to move each other up 1 or 2. So I don't think 6 is a bad review at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then
Alex, do you have your?
So I was a 5 when I first put my score on here, and I'm lifting it to a 6 for quality. And the reason for that is I was mentioning there's so many things that happen during the production of this film that when I just watch it dry and just take it in as its own thing, it's not all that impressive. But then when I hear it went through that many rewrites, that many genre kind of bending changes, then it's thinking, oh, well, I'm going to give it a bit of grace. I'm going to give it a bit of charity, thinking that it's not that it is bad. A 7 for fun and watchability is not a bad film at all. We've got stuff way lower than that.
Yeah.
But it's the situation where for its quality as a film, I think it's a product of its era. It's a product of its era and that genre within that era of filmmaking. But then you have situations where it wasn't trying to be a super duper blockbuster action, huge budget kind of thing. It was meant to be a little bit of a goof, and it succeeds in that. It's a little bit of a goof.
Yeah, it's a good transition for Stallone from comedy back into action with this action thriller coming up right after. So
also,
here's 2.
It's the only Stallone movie that Sarah will not only willingly but happily watch.
Yeah. So here's another 2 little tidbits on the path of the movie that now that you're locked in and you can't change it. One thing that I don't like about it that hurts it, which maybe it's what keeps from 6, is the fact that when he comes out of cryo sleep, the first thing he talks about, where's my wife? Where's my wife? I was aware of her banging on the ice, when I was.
Oh, yeah.
But then that night, he's happy to fuck Sandra Bullock. After he was to him, he saw his wife yesterday. He went into freeze. He just saw her. And then he's like, first he responds, "Where's my wife?" And then later, "Hey, my wife's gone. Let's hook up." And I don't care anymore. He gets over his wife really fast. Second thing is,
to be honest,
yeah,
I might do the same.
Yeah,
especially with Sandra Bullock.
But the thing, Pat, of the movie, he also asked about his daughter, right? And they say, "Oh, she's in the system," and he's like, "Well, I don't want to go surprise her," And they kind of drop that storyline. They did film a storyline for that.
Oh,
when they're in the underground and Phoenix attacks, he goes out of his way to get to one particular middle-aged woman, grab her and hide her. It's like he's got his back to the gunfire to protect her. And it's like an extended sequence of him there because that's his daughter. She's one of the skags. She lives underground. But all her scenes were cut except for that action scene where she could be anyone, except he runs like around people to get to her to protect her, which makes no sense. If it wasn't happening in a split second, you're like, what? Why is he running over there?
Fair.
And it's because he had realized that was her.
That would also add an interesting layer, because we do see that him holding her as a little girl and her being like, "Hey, fuck you, lady," when to the reporter. And so like her having that rebellious spirit that
I don't know if that was his daughter, though. I think that was just the girl he saved when he blew up the mall. Like, and then the reporter was like, "The ransom was only $25,000. Why'd you do $2 million worth of damage?" and the little girl's like, "Fuck you."
Yeah. Fair. Okay.
And also the other little thing is that Jack Black, he says in interviews, had a speaking role, but he was hungover and didn't show up on set that day. So one of the other people has his lines. Like his lines are
that tracks.
Like, so that might have been his breakthrough film, and.
Right. It might have been your breakthrough film. Okay.
Yeah, but then he might not have been in Cable Guy 2 years later. He might have been too big for Cable Guy.
Yeah,
there you go.
Which is definitely going to be on this. We're going to do an episode on Cable Guy eventually, because the Cable Guy is a great movie. All right. So Matthew, we want to thank you for coming on the show. We will have you back, because
this was as much fun as doing the old hunka chunka.
Yeah. Sarah, when they said that line, Sarah goes, "I've never heard that before." I'm like, apparently, like that. I wouldn't be surprised if that was just a Stallone line, because
it sounds like something he would make up.
Yeah.
Like even the way he says it.
There's apparently a woman wrote a memoir about all these famous men she had sex with, like Warren Beatty, and Stallone is one of them. And apparently, like, after he's done, he says, "Wham bam, thank you, ma'am," for real.
Wham bam, thank you, ma'am.
And it's just like, so like the hunka chunka literally feels like that. Stallone just got to riff.
I had it written down in my notes,
and it sounds like something you think he would say.
She cracked up.
Yeah. If you haven't already, like and subscribe. Like we mentioned at the top of the episode, you should be doing that or you should have done that already anyway. But
unless this is your first episode,
you're still here. Of course, you should have done it.
Yeah. And if you want to, you can see our episodes early. For $26 for 2026, you can get all the episodes as early as we're done editing them. And that will be.
Where can you give money?
It's on Patreon, but I don't have the link off the top of my head, so I just put it in the show notes. So
2 years and you don't know the link?
Because it's not. Well,
we're not even 1 year old.
It's to a collection. It's to a specific collection, and this is our first year doing this one.
Okay.
Anyway. So yeah, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Go check out the early episodes for $26 for the year, or if you want to, you can just go to our Patreon and become a supporter. And we will, now that we have we're gonna have to start adding in more thank yous, because we have
next year it's going to be $27, and at 28 it'll be 28.
Yep, that's the idea.
$1 a year is not going to cover inflation, but we're dedicating it to you guys, the audience, that we're not going to raise more than $1 a year.
So read my lips.
So a better promise would be we will always keep our cost the same as the year. This way you can switch to the Jewish calendar Up it by like
Yeah, or it's $2,000 and
$2,000.27.
The Jewish year is like 56.78 or something. So,
yeah. All right. And okay, we've done all that. Next week we are going to be watching. Alex, do you remember the name of the movie?
The name of the movie is.
There's no way he remembers. He's going to pick the wrong one.
No, I just have to look it up because you said the name.
Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
Yeah.
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. That is a rewatchable shitty movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
No, we're going to be watching the Guy Ritchie movie from 2023, I think, or 2024. 2024. The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, which I will just, if you haven't seen it already, it's on Netflix. You can watch to and then go see it with us. You can watch that and then listen along with us. But I will pitch the movie to you as this. It is Inglourious Bastards, but British and a true story. And if you like James Bond, there's a little bit of James Bond in there for you too. And that's a little bit of
Fleming.
Yeah. Who also wrote J.J. Bang Bang? I love that bit about Fleming. Fleming was James Bond and J.J. Bang Bang.